Hello, my name is Peach Fuzz. I might look like I eat you up, but I'm as friendly as a rabbit, and I'd make a very good friend. Peach Fuzz, I am here, and there's nothing to fear.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are doing a movie that is maybe well received, maybe not. I don't know. I thought when we announced it last week that this was one of those movies that everybody talked about loving and being obsessed with. And now I'm hearing from Monica as she was doing her research for this movie that maybe it's a little more controversial than we thought. But
yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. It is 2014's Creep, starring Patrick Bryce and Mark Duplass. And it's really kind of just the two of them for the whole film.
That is literally it. And that was kind of it for the whole pre-production too. Add in a little Jason Blum and that's pretty much it. It's a bare bones kind of vibe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, IMDb trivia said this movie had a budget of $500, and I assume that when they say that, that means that they're just not paying themselves anything and they bought a camera. Or maybe they rented at that house, I don't know, and they were like, we already own this camera, that's free. But, you know, you put in the blood, sweat, and work yourself, so...
I think they might have owned the house because I saw an article from 2017 saying that Mark was was selling the house for like $200,000.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
wow.
the $500 is for extra cloud storage while they're, you know,
the $500
while they're
was
storing the video pipes. Like
it was to feed them.
$500 crafty
food.
budget. That's all we need.
Yeah. It was to feed them during the 1 week that it took to film this movie. Well, no, it took longer.
The wolf mask cost $400 and then $100 for food.
$100
yes.
for an axe. Yeah. No, I think probably they owned the axe too. You know, like if he really has this cabin house, not cabin house, it's got an axe. Yeah.
And they're wearing just normie men outfits, so there's no wardrobe budget.
Clothes for my closet, scary wolf mask I already own, my personal camera, and $500 for a professionally custom-made sick playlist for the drive up.
It was sick. Yeah, for licensing any music. Yeah, just probably for the score. They're like, hey, my friend is doing songs for the first time. We will give him this money. I don't know.
We need somebody to write the Peach Fuzz song. So that's where that budget went, I think.
Actually, no, they gave $40 to Katie Asselton, who I can only assume plays the voice of Angela.
Yeah.
That's part of it there. But anyway,
said,
say the IMDb.
I know your union, so I'll pay you your minimum
dues.
fee. Yeah. Anyway. This movie, if you've never seen it, it's a found footage movie, really tight world that they're coming in from. But I'll read you the logline on IMDb. It says, a young I was going to say that word really weird.
Videographer, because I read it that way too.
I don't, yeah. I think probably that's where that was going. So I'm going to start over and I'm going to say it's super normal and you guys are going to love it. A young I can't know. Now I'm so scared. Now I'm scared. Videographer.
Here, you say a young, and then I'll say the word, and then you can continue on.
A young
videographer.
There's an online ad for a one-day job in a remote town to record the last messages of a dying man. When he notices the man's odd behavior, he starts to question his intentions.
I know it's videographer, by the way, but I just thought it would be funny.
It felt right. It felt right.
Thank you so much. Whoa, there's like a ghost in your microphone there. That was a very scary sound. Came to me like a scream. The fear is already
Wow.
settling within me.
We are already doing the
I
jump scares from this movie in this episode right
Mhm.
now.
This movie has some good jump scares.
It
Were you guys scared?
does.
Were either of you scared watching it?
Well, not this time. I've seen this movie like 3, 4 times now. So you know how my Monica brain is very special and remembers only some things. This
Yes.
is the thing it remembers every
Oh,
single
this is what's
moment
taking
of
up all the
this
storage
movie.
space.
Yeah,
You need
I've got
$500 to
creep.
pay for
The
external cloud
$500.
storage. Yeah.
Yeah, they paid me actually, my
That's the
brain, just
storage
to
they're paying
record
for.
everything.
They said, "Can you just file this all away whenever we need
Mhm.
it?"
And yeah, I invested
That sounds
that
really lucrative for
paying
you.
dividends. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Bought some Bitcoin.
Well, you know me, I'm like a fucking slut for found footage. I love it so much. And just as the man himself, Jason Blum, said in an article that I read about this movie, it's really easy to make a found footage movie, but it's really fucking hard to do it well. And this, I think, is one of the most like effective ones that I've seen in a long time. There's a lot of different ways that you can get into the world. The buy-in is super crucial. I mean, with found footage, you kind of have to, and I've said this a million times, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief a little bit because, like, why would a whole story be perfectly portrayed on these cameras unless there's a perfect gimmick? And sometimes the gimmick is cringe, and sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes they flub the rules or whatever. But this one felt pretty true to life to me, something that could actually happen. And I just love movies where it's so simple, where it's just
Hmm.
zoomed in on this one really fucking weird thing and there's no pomp and circumstance, you know?
Yeah.
And you just get to get in there with Mark Duplass. And damn, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that this movie does that Blair Witch Project did that helps it feel so successful as found footage is improv, where like the dialogue just feels really
Yes.
natural, you know what I mean? And a lot of it is like you captured it on camera and it feels authentic that you captured it on camera because you were just shooting. You weren't like,
Yeah.
oh, something in the background. You know what I mean? Like they did a really good job in that aspect because whatever they had on camera was natural to be on there because they weren't necessarily like planning big beats in advance. They had like 5 pages of an outline for what they wanted this movie to be when they started, and we'll talk about the alternate endings at some point, because one of them is like really really different from the ending that we get, but they clearly were open to the process of like just seeing where this goes without even really committing to like what kind of movie they wanted it to be
Yeah.
in advance.
It's so fun. It's just like two guys and they're having a good time, you know? Like that's the vibe.
Best
Like
buds hanging out.
it also kind of has some of the like in a hot tub 5 feet away because they're not gay. It also
I know.
has
I
that
was like, we
vibe
should have
too.
saved this for Pride Month. This is great
I,
Pride Month material.
I know. I read a lot of weird articles about this, including an article that said 41 facts about creep. And
Oh yeah,
all
that's what you were looking
41
at
of the
before.
facts were completely subjective. They were all just like, the character Joseph is enigmatic and will be thought of for generations. Like, no, like that's not a
Pretty
fact.
explicitly the opposite of a fact. Yeah. Pretty
Another
explicitly opinion-based reporting.
explicitly, it was all opinions. I will be putting it in the references. Don't worry. It was from facts.com. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
facts.com.
Oh,
Well, they sound
facts.com.
very reliable.
A reputable
Facts.com.
source.
Yeah,
I
I
have
thought
to take
so.
back
I
any
thought, where
criticisms
should
I've
I
had so
go?
far.
Where should I go to research? Facts.com. But the other one
They say
I
Joseph is
found,
enigmatic. They're right.
yeah. The other one I found was queervoices.com,
Mm.
queer-voices.com, which is a great website actually. But I disagreed with them on this. Where they're like, Joseph is so queer coded and I hate that about him. And it's like, I hate that about it. It's problematic because it's like the queer villain trope. And I was like, let there be a gay villain and let us love him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fine actually that he's gay. I don't think he's
I
predatory because he's gay. I think he just is a predator and he's gay.
yeah. He's definitely a queer man because I have seen the sequel and so I know more things. I'm not saying that I'm
Mm.
saying he's confirmed queer. I'm saying that he's
He looks
definitely
in
not.
the camera in the sequel. He says, "I'm queer."
He says, "Hi, I'm whatever name he decides that movie, and I'm queer. I'm here and
And
I'm
I'm
queer."
queer.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying that queer as an umbrella term because we can't say he's gay because there are woman things. Actually, something the opposite.
We would never want to label his sexuality for him.
We
That's
can't
his
pigeonhole
journey.
him.
That's his journey.
But he's definitely on the Kinsey scale in a direction that's
Aren't
not
we
the
all?
straight one. I don't remember how the Kinsey scale works, honestly. But yeah, I'm so excited that we're doing this movie because I've been wanting you to do it for forever, but Chelsea is the one who said we should do it. It's not crazy. Isn't it amazing when you manipulate your friends into saying your ideas back to you and thinking it's their idea?
Okay,
The o-
suspicious now.
the only way to get what you really want with Chelsea is make it think it's her idea.
That's what Ryan did with Death Becomes Her last week.
He
That-
got that one
here's
in.
the-
I had suggested it before and been ignored, so I don't want it to pretend like I'd only ever shot it down. I suggested it first.
We're just
And then
fucking
maybe I
with
was
you.
mad about being ignored. Maybe that's why I had to shoot it down for another 2 years.
I understand. And I'm glad we did it though. And I'm glad we're doing this. But I didn't know that Patrick Bryce, the director, is Aaron. I didn't know that until this time around. And I do think that's one of the don't get mad at me. I love you. I hope you listen to this. I don't think he's like 100% stellar actor in this. That's like one little part that's like a little less believable.
Yeah.
But also like he's kind of could just be like an awkward guy because I feel like his character is kind of unsure of himself, which is what gets him into the situations that he's in. Because like, I mean, rewinding to the very beginning, he's a guy with a video camera. Maybe he's a videographer by trade, and he wants $1,000. Videographer. He's a videographer by trade. Maybe that's how it's said in the industry.
That's
You
how
don't
it's
know.
said. That's how the professionals say it.
Yeah. I've been working on a
videograph.
film set this past weekend, and everyone was saying videographer.
God. Everybody was saying it over there, so that's how you know it's real.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the industry now. No, that's videographer for sure, and they don't even say that in the industry. But anyway, Patrick Aaron is one. And he wants $1,000. And here's an opening discussion question before we get into the acting of Patrick. Would you ever answer a Craigslist ad? I'll direct it to Sydney first. Something like this.
As a woman, no.
Yeah. That's so
No.
interesting because actually we started this movie and I went, I should see what's on Craigslist. Not that I was gonna drive to anybody's house, but I was like, I bet there's something on there I could make a few bucks for.
I honestly was thinking about that too because I was like, I could use some money right now.
Remote
And then I was
services
like,
rendered, yeah. I'm
I
not gonna be like a task rabbit and go in somebody's home necessarily, but
let's be real. Do we have that type of skill set?
There. I'm actually good at putting IKEA furniture together, but not in one day. I need an overnight frustration break. So it doesn't work for other people's houses because I can't be like, okay, I'm giving up and going to sleep now and I'll see you in the morning.
I love putting IKEA furniture together, but I like drinking while I'm doing it. And I don't think they'll let you do that at
You have to like watch Rizzoli and
house.
Isles for 4 hours while you're assembling.
You wouldn't be able to do that while being a task rabbit, but on Craigslist they might let you come to their house, get drunk,
you can get away with anything. Yeah,
then it's different
on
rules.
Craigslist they say, will you come to my house and drink and watch Rizzoli and Isles while you build the furniture? And it's like, you know what?
How can I say no to that?
Nice. Yeah,
I watch the
$500. Okay,
I watch all of Castle Rock while I put together my kitchen island. So it's a great thing to do.
Anyway, the answer is, I guess, maybe we would go on Craigslist.
I wouldn't do this one though.
No.
Not in a remote cabin.
Not in a remote cabin. Not
Film me
knowing
for
what
a
I'm
day?
filming in advance. Yeah.
Sounds like a sex thing.
Sounds
I'm
like porn.
already
Sounds like you're being recruited for porn.
sounds like porn. And maybe
$1,000 in a day, 8 hours. That sounds like porn.
I'd
Yeah.
rather it be porn than what it actually was. So,
Well, I also would rather shoot porn than be murdered, but
I mean, if
Yeah.
I have to
there are a
pick,
lot of things that I would rather do than be murdered. Shooting porn for sure on the list because
would
being murdered,
voluntarily
that's a big deterrent for me.
Yeah, no, I feel like I would like desire to shoot porn before I would desire to be killed, like for sure. There's like 45,000 things in between those two things on the list.
Yeah. If
I
it
guess-
was genuinely shooting porn or capturing a dying man's wish for his future child, that would maybe be a different discussion. But I think I also would be like, porn sounds like an easier mental load to carry.
right?
Definitely.
There's a lot of baggage. There's a lot that I'm going to be thinking about and dealing with for a long time after shooting the dying man's last wishes for his future child.
I feel like a kinship to Aaron in this movie because I too am shockingly and alarmingly naive when it comes to the intentions of others.
I love to
And
meet a stranger in a kindred spirit.
I love to make friends out at the bar and then think that we're actually friends. And then
It's so
things
heartbreaking.
yeah, and then you're not. And
What
then
do you
it's
mean we're not friends? I invited you into my home after the bar.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of your
We ate
story with
mac and
that, Chelsea.
cheese. Yeah.
My story I cannot say right now, but it got weird. I became best friends with someone and then we had like a huge fight by the end of the night because I made a joke and I said, y'all aren't gonna kill us, right? Like as a joke, because we entered a situation that was weird. And I was like, haha, y'all not gonna kill us, right? And he was like, why would you say that? And I was
See,
like,
it has
what?
to go
And then
the
we stepped
other way
into the
around.
bathroom.
Yeah.
And I was
The
like,
joke has to be, don't you think I might kill you? Haha, just kidding.
he was so mad. And I was like, we stepped into the other room and I was like, I'm joking around. And he was like, well, I just think it's really rude that you would say that right now. And then we were like yelling at each other. And I was like, I think you're going to kill us actually. So we're going to leave. So
yeah, now I
I've
talked
been
myself into
Aaron.
it, so I gotta go.
I've been Aaron. I've been there and it's hard. But he's so stupid. He really is very dumb. And there's so many times where you just want him to skedaddle. And I would have skedaddled. But you know what? I'm not a 6'4" white man. So I can't relate to his life experience. That gives you a type of brave boldness that I don't have because that man is tall. He is so tall. Whenever
Yeah.
he stands up, can you tell how insanely tall he is? His arms are so long.
And he's so much bigger than Mark Duplass, for sure.
Yeah,
And
there's
I
like,
don't blame you go.
oh, I was gonna say, there's a shot where you can like see the height difference with them, and you're like,
yeah.
hello up there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I don't blame Joseph for being like, you're so beautiful. Like every 5 seconds. He's a beautiful
My
tall
handsome
drink of water,
boy.
that
Yeah.
Aaron. What a handsome boy.
I did like when he was driving up and he's like, maybe this is gonna be like a sexy MILF looking for a young boy to woo.
He was hoping to
knows? I
shoot
was like,
porn.
dream
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah. Oh my God, he was.
He was literally hoping to shoot porn. Oh my God. I just think that the pacing in this movie, even though it is super excruciating in some regards, because it is like really in real time and you're just seeing the most awkward thing of all time play out before you, like the tubby. The tubby,
Yeah.
man. The
The
tubby.
tubby is also where that point comes in that you were just talking about of like the different socializations. Because even if a woman found herself in this position, once he just starts stripping and getting in the bath without any kind of disclaimer ahead of time about what's about to happen, I don't think she'd stick around. A man is
Out the
so
door.
not
Yeah.
conditioned to be hypersensitive to I can see where they would like talk themselves back into like maybe it's fine. If it's not fine, I'm a big dude.
It's just like the locker
I
room.
could take him. I gotta go. See a man's dick? Yeah, about the urinals all the time. Like what? I know you're not. I know you're not supposed to look, but let's be honest. People are peeping. I
I
can see
peep.
how. Who?
Same.
It's
I
a
peep.
natural human curiosity. Let's be honest.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
I want to know what it looks like. Even with my friends, I'm like, I don't want to do anything with it. I just want to know what it looks like.
I'm not
I'm
a
just
peeping
curious.
Tom, but
I'm
if
just
you want to
filing
share
that
and you're
away.
getting it out in public,
I just want to get to know you better, you know?
I want to feel so close to you in my heart.
But not
and I need to
physically.
know everything
Again,
about
I'm
you.
not going to touch it.
Yeah,
No,
that's your business.
emotionally, not physically, you know?
Yes.
For our emotional connection, I need to know what your dick looks like.
I want to know what you're
Yes.
working with. How am I supposed to understand your sense of self if I don't know what your dick looks like and how you feel about it?
Exactly. It's not a size thing. It's a character thing. It's like a personality
I want to
Yeah.
know how
of
you
the
carry it.
member.
It's part of you.
Exactly.
Your little whatever, insert name here.
Your little friend.
Yeah.
Your little
Little
guy.
buddy.
Johnson. But I mean, Mark, like Joseph's character, I mean, we're gonna go into this with knowing what happens at the end of this movie. Like, he is a master at doing what he does. And like to come in with the fucking sob story with the he has brain cancer. He's obviously such like an active and healthy guy. So that's a shock already that he's already fought it and won and then it came back. And then the fact that he has a son whose life he's not going to get to see. And that's like what he's doing this for. That's a very sweet, sad story. And then the fact that he said that he has brain cancer, you know, like not everyone is a fucking doctor. So you don't know exactly what that like how that might affect
Symptoms are.
someone, what the
Yeah.
symptoms are. So like maybe if he's acting a little bit differently than you'd expect from
Weird.
your average guy, like maybe you're like,
Yeah, he's
oh,
got a fucking
you've
brain tumor the size of a tennis
Yeah.
ball or whatever. It's easy to be like, he must not realize how he's coming off, or his inhibitions are lowered because he's gonna die in 2 to 3 months, and like there's no time to waste. He only has me for 8 hours a day. So he is gonna fucking just strip down right away because there's time is wasted in so many regards.
Fuck
Yeah.
it, we ball.
Exactly.
Fuck it, we get our balls out.
Sometimes we just gotta watch a grown man mime giving a kid a bath and you just gotta smile and you just gotta go through it. I mean, the tubby, oh my God. Sydney is
Yeah.
miming the tubby now, something you would see as a YouTube exclusive with a
With
kitty.
my cat.
A kitty tubby is occurring. And it is sweet in a way, though it is very uncomfortable to just see this naked man do this. But if you like, you know,
Remove yourself from that. Yep.
remove yourself for a second. If you don't know what the movie is going into it, because I mean, back to what we were talking about earlier, how they didn't know what the movie was going to be going into it. There's like an alternate ending for this movie where it's not a horror really in the same way. And like and Aaron doesn't die, you know?
Yeah. It was like maybe going to be more of a black comedy than like a psychological thriller, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. Just like a look into a very strange fucking dude, you know? And like how humans can be
What will people put up with?
very
Yeah.
interesting. Yes. And how much you're willing to forgive. And I don't know how much the interior part of the movie would have been different to get to that ending. There's like one of the alternate endings there, like Aaron rolls up and Mark Duplass is sitting on the bench already, and then he goes and he sits with him and they just chat, and that's the end of the movie. There's also a version where the movie's called Peach Fuzz. Just want to say that too. But
Great
like if the
name.
movie isn't called Creep, you know what I mean? That changes your whole vibe going into it. It's just something to keep in mind while you're
It is
watching
interesting.
it.
I think
Yeah.
Creep is like a more marketable title for sure than Peach
Yeah.
Fuzz. I also think I read an article that said like part of the reason they picked creep was for you to be a little unsettled about like which one of them is the creep. Although I'd
I
be
wanted
curious to see if anybody was suspicious of Aaron over Joseph.
I wanted to ask you guys if you were. Well, Sydney, you'd seen this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, Chelsea, if during the Benadryl part, you maybe thought for a second it could possibly be Aaron who's the creepy person.
I think I had pretty much settled on Joseph by then. I think I don't know. I don't know if I knew going in or not. Because I definitely in my brain before I started the movie had kind of decided that Mark Duplass was the videographer. And then once I started the movie and he was not, I was like, oh, okay, well, he's probably the freak weirdo regardless of what role he's playing. So if he's playing that other role, then it's Joseph who's
He's got
the
that
creep.
vibe.
He's got that vibe. I've seen him and I love him, by the way. One day we're gonna do the one I love on this podcast. Don't know when. What a film.
It's gonna happen.
I loved him in The League. I loved Katie Aselton in The League also.
I love The League.
I love The
Haven't
League. That
seen
was
it.
also like a big improv. He's like a big improv guy. He loves improv.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I love Mark Duplass. I felt like there's a lot of overlap with like what him and like Nathan Fielder are doing sometimes these days. I'm not like a
I
huge
get
Nathan
them
Fielder
confused
person.
sometimes.
But yeah, I mean, I watched that what was his new show with Emma Stone, whatever that show
The
was
Curse.
called. Yeah, I watched The Curse, and I felt like a lot of what he was doing in The Curse could have been a different version of this movie that is the less horror route. Where it's just like you're not really sure what's happening. You can't really like get in his head and his thoughts to be like what are his intentions right now, why is he so on one thing or another. But yeah, I mean, I think I came in and I was like, Mark Duplass is the creep, which means Joseph is the creep, and it's a horror movie, so I can kind of see the writing on the wall. But I will say, hey, timeline of the movie, it's an hour and 17 minutes. You told me that ahead of time. I will say it was like the pacing was good, but because I was trying to immerse myself in the movie and not check the time, but I was like, it's so short. An hour could have passed at any moment. I was never like sure when in the film things were gonna really start to go awry. And I was like, it could happen like moment one, and then the rest of the movie is like freak weirdo shit, or it could be like the very last thing that happens in the film. I don't know. So that was like the real unknown element for me while watching.
Yeah. It really keeps you on your toes because there's so many moments where he's doing the weirdest thing
Weird
imaginable.
shit.
And you're like,
Oh, let
is
me run
this-
away real fast.
is-
Girl, don't go off the trail.
Yeah. But I mean, just back to that Aaron as a possibly being the creep thing. I feel like it would have had to happen like earlier in the film, or like there would have had to have been like something earlier in the film that Aaron did that would have to make it like ambiguous like that, or make you question it. Cause I felt like this watch, I was like, oh, was that what they were trying to get at with the Benadryl thing? Besides the fact where he's trying to save his life, that I understand. But like at that point in the film, he hasn't gotten home yet, and then we know what happens in the second half of the movie. We'll get there. But like I was like, I wonder if that was something that they were trying to get at. But I don't think they gave us enough to make you really question things enough. But it's an interesting thought.
I also think if you've seen Get Out, not that Get Out came before this movie, because this movie was first and then Get Out was later. But if you've watched Get Out before you watched Creep, as soon as he's like, where are my keys? I can't find my keys. You're like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with.
Oh my God, I literally have forgotten like all of Get Out because it's been so long since I've seen it. We need to do that sometime. Yeah. I don't know. I just think that like the beginning of this movie is just so joyous to me because it's just so fucking nuts. Like the tubby time, he pretends to drown himself. That shit was nuts. And he's like,
That
you
is
didn't think
crazy.
that was
It
funny?
actually is. It's such a strong skill set in your little creep weirdo gaslighting boundary pushing handbook, because right off the bat he's like, I've set up my sob story so you're gonna feel obligated to stick around even if things start to get a little weird, but I'm going to get naked in front of you. I'm going to do weird shit in front of you. I'm going to be weird to this hypothetical baby in front of you. And then I'm going to say, I could kill myself right now. And I might do
But
it.
then kind of
And
like
you might
do
watch
it.
me. Like, and then, haha, just kidding. Like, he is setting up so many weird boundaries that he can blow right through right off the bat so that anything after that is going to almost feel like par for the course from him.
He even says like, "Oh, when you got here, did you see that axe and think that I was gonna kill
Yeah.
you?" Like,
Did you think for just 1 minute? You did. You
Well,
goofy
you
guy.
silly goose.
This is all just a fun little game to him. We all make our jokes like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself," whatever. We shouldn't. It's bad. Don't make that joke. It's horrible. We do it all the time.
Can't stop, won't stop. Just saying.
Sydney, please do not take it to this level though, where you hold yourself underwater for long periods of time.
Oh no,
as part
drowning is
of the
actually
gimmick.
scary, so I won't do that.
Drowning is the worst way to go. We've talked about this. But like it goes from him immediately trying to drown himself, like fake drowning himself, and then he's like, okay, well, let's get some air, let's chill out, and then immediately peach fuzz. Like it's just like freak show attack. Where
Let's
it's like
chill out. I'm gonna put on my wolf mask.
that song. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny too, because like, do you think he made it up right then? Because all of this is a lie. He just like was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do a little song.
Yeah. I mean, I did put in my notes. I said, not sure I'm impressed by Peach Fuzz's songs. Feels like it could have used some work, but maybe he just remembered it perfectly after the first time his dad ever did it, and they always just kept it the same after that. So even in my allowing for this to have been a real tradition passed down, I was like, no way this is more than the first draft. But I do feel, yeah, he made it up in the moment, 100%.
So good. And that
Mark
mask
Duplass
is
filming the character in that moment in his heart. Both of those were improv.
Oscar, Oscar,
Oscar.
just for this scene.
grab
Deserve.
me. Grab me. Let's
Oh,
be real.
EGOT.
EGOT.
Mega Broadway
It's-
musical of Peach Fuzz.
You could do an adaptation for sure. For sure, we could get these fellas their Tonys.
Yeah. Oh my god. But seriously though, like that mask is just it's really fucking scary. The fact that it has such beautiful voluminous hair, like gorgeous, like enviable hair, like
Yeah.
volume, curls, really makes it creepier. Like why does it have such beautiful hair? The volume of the whole experience. It's stunning. Great mask work. I was reading an article and they were like, "Did you guys make that mask?" And then they didn't answer and they're like, "Well, if the movie does well, you might be able to buy it." And I was like, "Okay, well, did you make
Where
the
is it?
mask? Answer the fucking question."
Where is
IMDb
it?
trivia says that the Peach Fuzz mask is Forum Novelties 59449 Night Wolf mask. Is that true? I don't know, but that's what IMDb trivia says.
Well, they have a number and everything.
I know it
So-
sounds really official, so I believe them.
I believe them.
Oh, you can yes,
100%.
you can find it on Amazon.
Wow.
Probably
Oh
also other
man, I would
places.
love that would be a great
So it's
be like
currently
sexy peach
unavailable.
fuzz.
You'll have to find it from other places.
I'm gonna be sexy peach fuzz for Halloween sometime soon.
Yes.
There's an eBay listing for approximately $740, which is approximately $240 more than the budget of this movie. So
Well, I won't be buying that one. I don't care that much. I would rather be
well, it was
Lindsay
sold,
Gowan
so
from
you couldn't
Planet
buy it even
Terror.
if you wanted to. Guess what?
Then why are you
missed out.
fucking bringing it up and getting my hopes up? But yeah, I mean it's such a like an unadulterated freak fest for like 15 minutes straight. And then you kind of get a little bit of a reprieve with their romantic hike. I do love a romantic hike that ends in a beautiful heart rock. Oh my god.
It's so sweet.
But have you ever been on a hike with someone who's like running the whole hike? Because I have, and it's scary.
Oh my god. What a
No,
nightmare.
I don't
First
like
of
to
all,
hike.
If I drove up to, they didn't shoot this in Big Bear. Apparently, Lake George or whatever. What is it? Is that what it's called? Lake Gregory. That is a real place. It is kind of near Big Bear in the sense that they're both in like the San Bernardino National Forest.
Isn't it in Crestline?
I don't know, but I'm sure you're
I don't
right.
know. I don't know what that is.
Yes, it is near Crestline. I just zoomed in on the map. Anyway, if I drove out from Los Angeles, presumably, that's what it looked like on the freeways. It looked like he was coming from like the Valley or maybe like Thousand Oaks. I don't fucking know. But if I drove out all of that way and I didn't know what I was filming, and then someone was like, "We're going on a hike," I would absolutely have dipped. Like that would be shooting the hike, the film on the hike, like porn for sure. I would for sure rather do porn. Like you need to tell me in advance if I'm going A, into the woods, B, if I'm hiking, C, if you're running and going off the trail, D, you don't know where we're going and you don't have a plan for how to get back, E, you're then gonna swim in the thing. Like that part turned out okay, but I was like, this alone, 1,000 red flags. Ignoring the parts where you're going, are you pure of heart, Aaron? Aaron, how's your heart? Oh, there's a little animal in you, Aaron. There's a little peach fuzz inside you yet. Anyone you need to make peace with in this world before you go? Like, even those things aside, I was like, you're taking me into the woods on a hike that you did not prepare me for. That's gonna be a hard no.
Nobody
Well,
likes surprise hiking.
Nobody likes surprise hiking.
You did when we went surprise hiking in Big Bear, Sydney.
That's because I had a Jim Beam and a bunch of little cheese crackers and
She
beer.
had 5 minutes
we
notice to
plied you
decide
with
she was in.
alcohol and snacks. Well, I mean, another difference from being a woman in this situation versus a man in this situation, I would have been wearing heeled boots, and so it would have been not realistic for me to, because when am I wearing sensible shoes? Would have been not realistic for me to be going up a fucking mountain, for one thing. Also, like, oh, okay, let's go to a secondary location. They always say bad, secondary location bad. Oh, this brings up an actually very iconic thing that I found while searching for this. Give me 1 second. But I was, yes, here it is. Okay. Another article I found. SwiftSilentDeadly.com.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah. Already you're intrigued. You're there. You're there.
I'm intrigued.
there. 8 defense lessons from Creep 2014 film. And
Okay.
it's an
God, okay.
article of self-defense lessons.
Tell me, what could I do?
Based
What could
on
I do better than
Aaron's
Aaron?
mistakes.
What could I do better than him? I've got some ideas, but you tell me.
First thing is listen to your inner voice.
Mm-hmm. That bitch is
Some
never
people
wrong.
don't. Yeah, but some people don't have that. They think in like visuals. So what's next?
Yeah, so there's a whole explanation of that. Don't worry, this will be linked. I know you want to learn these things.
I need
Lesson
to
number
know.
2, don't excuse lies. So when you catch someone in a lie, don't be like, oh, they just have a brain tumor. You know what I mean? Be like, okay, well, now I know they're lying to me. When you're in a vulnerable position, don't excuse, overlook, or justify lies. Lesson 3, put the C in EDC. And the lesson is the C in EDC stands for carry. What does the E and the D stand for? Does anyone know?
Daisy.
Yeah. Electric Daisy.
Electric Daisy Carnival. I thought it was for I thought the C was carnival, but it's
You have
carry.
to bring the carnival yourself. That's what this article is telling me.
Yeah.
So by that it means your EDC items should stay on your body. Losing his keys was a
Emergency
disaster for
defense?
Aaron. Yeah, I think it's like
Emergency-
your defense items should be like tied to you so you can't get rid of them or you can't lose them easily. So carabiner on those keys, put it in your pants. Put it on your pant loop.
Everyday carry. That's what it
Mm.
means.
Lesson
Electric
4,
Daisy Carnival.
not
I
every
did think about
defense.
that though. I was like, his
Yeah.
wallet is free floating, but I'll never say I haven't put my purse down somewhere.
No, true. Lesson 4 is not every defense problem is a gun problem. We all need some unarmed, empty hand skills. So,
Slap
like
a bitch.
punching, slapping, those types of things.
Biting.
Lesson 5, we'll get to this part later. Know when to get the police involved, Aaron.
Oh my God. Aaron.
Although, to be fair, when he went to the police and they did absolutely nothing, I was like, and that's more than I expected of them. Because even when a stalker has made like legitimate threats of harm, a lot of the time the police are like, well, if they haven't done anything,
If they
making
haven't-
threats is not illegal.
Yeah, if they haven't done any physical harm to you, there's nothing they can do. I know this because I've been to a police station and handed them multiple letters about this man who would send me detailed writings about how he wanted to murder me. No idea who he
And
was.
they're like, this is a phenomenal read.
They're like, well, what do
and
you want
that's
us
all
to
that
do about
is
it?
to us. Yeah.
They're so useless. I wonder, like, when he started, like, noticing stuff around the house and outside of the house, would that change it? Or was that person coming to your house to leave the letters? As then it wouldn't change it.
They're not like breaking in. I think there's.
And even if they do break in, if you don't have cameras, there's no way of like proving, because as I learned, because as I learned, when somebody broke into my house back in July, the cops didn't even come into my home.
Babe,
What did
I'm pretty
they
sure there's
do?
fingerprints around. I would at least like to check for them, perhaps.
I don't understand. They don't, yeah, they don't dust for prints. That's not a real thing. When my car got vandalized, I was like, hey, can a cop come? And they're like, no, a cop will not be coming. That is not, no,
Yeah.
you do this on the internet. You don't
Yeah.
even talk to anyone. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm so
Okay,
sorry that I
thank you.
inconvenienced you.
My
Yeah.
bad for trying to report a crime. I guess I'll never fucking do that again.
I'll just
Yeah.
go fuck myself. You're so right.
Thank you.
Okay, lesson number 6 is don't search outside of your home. So if you hear a bump in the night, don't go outside in the middle of the night in your boxers without a weapon. Well, I think he might have
That
had
felt
a
like a really
weapon, but
bad
either
call.
way.
Yeah.
That
That
was
felt like
super
a big
stupid.
mistake on Aaron's part.
And
That's
then
something a
les-
6'4" big dude would do, though. Like,
He'd be like, I can handle the threat. Girl, stay inside.
seriously. 7 is make your home hard to get into, so get a security system or more locks, which he did kind of do. And lesson 8 is
Did he change
situational
the
awareness
locks?
and mindset. I don't know. I might be getting confused with something else I watched this week. I thought
I
there
think
was a
he
part where
put in a
put
deadbolt.
an extra deadbolt.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah.
But I was like, girl, he
And
has your keys. Hello, let's think,
This
mama.
is a great list. There's many lessons to be learned from, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it already, our dumb bitch, Aaron.
Yeah.
Our
Joseph, honestly,
pretty,
smart
sweet,
bitch.
big-hearted, dumb little bitch. Yeah.
Joseph is super smart. But anyway, we've gone through an overview of all of the errors, but zoom back into maybe after the hike. There is one error that Joseph makes, which I didn't really pay attention to before. It's not that big of a deal, but he like gets caught in one of his own lies because when they go to the
Billy's Bears, which sounds like
Yeah.
a gay bar, is what I put in
The
my
re-
notes.
the restaurant, and he's like, oh, they're known for their pancakes. He's like, oh, what do they have here? And Aaron's like, what the fuck? And that's
I
another
thought you've had the pancakes for years. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a very
Oh.
dry looking plate of pancakes too after it came. I
Yeah.
was like, not enough syrup, whipped cream, butter. Hello, where are the works?
Yeah. Aaron
Where's
was
the
probably
fixins?
like,
Hello.
Aaron should have known right then, like, these pancakes suck.
These
He's
pancakes
obviously
are
lying.
not famous. He's not been here before. No way he has ordered these pancakes for years and is like, this is the highlight of the menu.
Really quickly though, sorry, maybe the reason that he was forgiving of the pancakes is because he just had the time of his fucking life playing in that pond with Joseph. Because really, Aaron was like, yeah,
Tootsies. Yeah. He was like,
He
you're
needs-
big old tootsies, babe.
he needs to be held. I think what's very clear is that Aaron needs to be held by someone, and Joseph held him.
Okay,
in
not
Aaron
the
was
physical
touch
and the
star.
couple
emotional
to
sense.
throuple shit, but in couple to throuple, there was one very tall man who joined a throuple at one point, and they were like, I thought you were always big spoon. Ha ha ha. How would you ever be the little spoon to anyone? Big guys want to be the little spoon. Big
Oh my
boys
God.
need to be held just like everybody else.
Oh my God, I love
Thank
being Big
you.
Spoon for like very large men.
Big
As-
boys want to be baby.
As someone who is a
Big
tall
boy,
person,
small
but I am
boy.
a woman, so I still get to be little spoon a lot of the time. But it's nice to feel small sometimes. it's hard to be big giants all the time. Taylor Swift said it herself. Sometimes you don't want to be the big monster on the hill, and
You
Aaron
want to be
wanted to
sexy
be hell.
baby.
He
Wanna
wants
be
to be
sexy
sexy
baby.
baby. Aaron got to be sexy baby. When he was with Joseph, he was sexy baby because he was a stand-in for Joseph's unborn child, I guess.
His real baby. Yeah, I was like, the lines are getting blurry
Blurred.
here.
Yeah, very, very
They're getting a
interesting.
little weird, Queen.
But then, like, I think he was pretty freaked out by the restaurant shit because as soon as
Yeah.
they get home, that's when Aaron's like, I'm gonna go. Bye.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then there's the whole what if I had a lot of money for you, which is like when things start, really for sure getting weird because he would not need to bribe you to stay if you didn't really feel in your heart that it was time to go.
And also, like, can we talk about the Peach Fuzz, Angela, animal porn thing? Because that shit was fucking nuts. I totally forgot about that because, like, we're not visually seeing anything. So I think my brain deleted just that part of this movie.
Yeah.
That was what a
Aaron,
beautiful ad lib
if I
from Mark
tell you
Duplass.
something, would you promise me you'll never tell another living soul? I was like, babe, you're on camera. You paid to be on camera. But then they did. I was like, how are they going to do this? But then he was like, let me just, I'll set it down and I'll turn it off. But, I mean, Joseph does reference it on camera when he pulls it on. He's like, you were freaked out by my rape story, weren't you? Which is
Just a
so
little queen.
interesting to classify it that way because the way you initially presented it to me, although you said it was something you're very ashamed of, was that you fulfilled your wife's sexual fantasy is the
I
way
think
that you
Angela
first
was
presented
into
it.
it. But
I was
she's
like,
not
oh my
here.
god, he's a furry. Okay, that's the reveal is that people who
No, the reveal is
go
she's a furry.
he liked it and he was the one wearing the
Yeah.
mask. So
They're both furries.
they're both furries. And
I
good
wish
for
they
them.
could say that to each other's faces.
But
But yeah,
also,
he
but
also
they
had
can't.
like
And it's
a
not real. And it
detail.
didn't happen.
He had a detail in his story where he was like, I left her tied up and then I came back in the morning and we pretended everything was normal. And it was like, did she get out of the ties? Was she still tied
Yeah.
up in the morning? Like,
That didn't seem like that big of a red flag to me because I'm just like, she's read this the swift, silent, and deadly.com article and knows how to untie her hog tie
he
after
has learned,
having
yeah.
a deranged sexual experience. She's been on this site. She knows.
I was concerned for Angela's internet habits, but happy for Angela's marriage. You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
like, these crazy kids just might make it work.
I
And then
just
he was
think
like,
that
my
the-
rape story, and I was like, whoa,
Oh.
okay, we're recontextualizing.
But
I
also,
just think that-
Angela would
yeah.
love AO3 Omegaverse. So, like,
Angela needs to read Bride by Allie Hazelwood, I assume.
yeah,
Ugh, I need to too. Here's the other thing though.
I've already read it. Don't worry.
Wait, did you? I put a hold on it because Manu said I have to, but I really don't want to.
I want to because Sydney said she liked it.
I had a good time.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
reading a vampire romance set in northern Mexico right now. I'm having a great time. So Vampires of El Norte, if you're interested. What was I gonna say about Angela though? She's freaky. Oh, sorry. The whole impetus for this whole story that he made up is that Joseph's internet was so slow because of all of the porn viruses. That's just so funny to me. It was like the internet was so slow, suspiciously slow.
Oh.
My friend told me I had to check the browser, and then at the end, in the weeks that followed, the internet got back up to speed. And I was like, okay, so happy ending for everybody. Like, Angela got her fantasy, he got his internet speed back. Like, it
I
sounds
would be
like
pissed if I had slow internet. So I get.
somebody had slow internet. I'm pissed all the time when my internet is slow.
Angela, though, girl, even though this isn't real and it didn't happen, someone's got to teach that fictitious woman about incognito mode.
But also,
if you're gonna be
please stop looking up animal sexual abuse online, fictional Angela.
I know.
Angela, who does not exist even within the confines of the film.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's another thing. So then the Angela phone call happens, which is such a sick part of this movie. Like that whole realization and the panic, and that it's her sister that makes it extra sick
Wait,
that he's
but
having this
before that,
weird
there's he's drugged and then he's jerking off on the fireplace, and it's like this bitch wants to fuck Peach Fuzz too.
jerking off on the fireplace balloons.
Jerking off on the fireplace. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just, I don't know. Like, was he not drugged actually? So he could just like double down on the freaky shit and be like,
I think it could go both ways.
yeah, Peach Fuzz, that was sexy to me.
I think he could be drugged and could be like, whatever, I'm gonna have a good time. If I'm gonna be drugged, I'm gonna enjoy myself.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Or he could be like, oh, this bitch onto me. I gotta switch things up a little, but I'm drugged, so all I can come up with is now I want to fuck Peach Fuzz. I don't know.
Well,
he was
Peach Fuzz is a horny figure for him regardless. So
For sure.
that
Yeah.
is just that is clear. But yeah, the Angela call is so freaky and like, ugh, I don't know. That's the thing though. Thinking about it now in retrospect, like she says Joseph, but he changes his name every time. So was that girl in on it and was part of this experience with him? Because unless like Joseph was actually his real name and he decided to be his real name with Aaron. I
which
mean,
would
he
be
does
good
go on
luck
to
since
say
Aaron ends
later.
up being his favorite.
Brett.
Yeah.
I had to be my authentic self with you, Aaron. I could just feel that you were special and different.
You were
Yeah, I mean, I
different.
think that is an element of the film that feels like a holdover from before they had decided what it was going to be, where Joseph was a potentially dangerous but primarily unstable person, where it was like, if he's telling you these things that I as his real sister know to not be true, I would recommend that you get out of the house, but I'm also assuring you you're going to be fine. I don't know, it feels like, I'm not sure. They said that they improved a lot of this. They showed it to some of their friends. Their friends got kind of like a psychological horror thriller vibe from it, and that's when they pivoted for the end. So I wonder, like, where in the process that came in. It kind of felt, and I don't know this from research, but it kind of felt in my heart like everything that was filmed at that house was completed before they made the pivot, and then things afterwards were where they were sort of like potentially switching things up. But if he owns the house, obviously they could go back. So I don't fucking know.
I read an article too that said like they went back and refilmed a bunch of stuff over the course of 18 months. So like yeah, because they like futzed around with it for a bunch of time because it wasn't that hard for them to get the similar shots again. They just had to wear the same clothes and they had access to the same places.
Yeah.
So could have gotten a little lost in the sauce. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think that he might have some sort of accomplice out there or something because we don't know. I still don't know from Creep 2, which I wonder if you guys would like. I don't know. But I would love to watch it again and see what we all feel. But
yeah, I guess that kind of feels like a potentially Creep 2 related question also.
yeah,
but
I don't think it's answered in
the name
Creep
is
2
an
from my
interesting
memory,
element
but
of it. The name is for sure, because I didn't think about that even. You're right. She's the one that says Joseph at first, I think. It's not like she's going along with
is
whatever name
Joseph
he
there?
says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I think it's it's such a good hard cut too once like all of that goes down and like he's disappeared or whatever. Joseph's disappeared and Aaron's trying to get out and like you don't know what ends up happening because he's like barricading the door, right? And then it just cuts to that shot the next day or it feels like the next day of Mark Duplass doing a really bad job digging a hole and dragging trash up a hill, you know what I mean? And you're like, fuck, he's fucking dead. And then he's like, so this is a cute little movie that Joseph sent me, and he's been sending me a bunch of weird shit. I thought
Just
that
little
was a fun
gifts.
little
He's thinking of me.
was a fun
He
little
knows
fake
where I
out.
live.
Yeah. um yeah, I mean I looked at those bags and I was like, those bags do not look like they have a body in them. So when they
I
didn't, I
agree.
was like, and I called it. But the way he relays his dream about him
The
was
dream is
what really was
so
fascinating to me.
funny.
Because yeah, I mean I
So
didn't write
like
it
you
all
were
down, but
feeling
he's
the
like,
homoerotic
exactly. I was
undertones.
like, he said we're at the Heart Rock, only it's a hot tub and we're both sitting it, and he has the Peach Fuzz mask on. Um, yeah, I was like, oh, you're his little cub? That's totally straight and not at all interesting to psychoanalyze. Obviously it went on from there
Mhm.
because it was like, we're drinking wine, baptism by wine. Oh, he's giving him a tubby. The tub is full of blood. Like it definitely spiraled after that point. But I was like, you're entering into this dream with some homoerotic tension for sure.
100%. Also, Aaron confirmed has daddy issues, like for sure. That is a big part of maybe why he's like
He's bending
playing
to the
out something.
authority.
He's playing out something he wish he could play out with his real daddy, and instead he's doing it with Joseph, this sad, weird man who's so obviously completely unhinged, and he keeps fucking forgiving him. How could you forgive someone after they send you a fucking wolf and in a video tell you to stab the wolf and cut it open, and inside is a beautifully engraved, might I say, locket of the two of your faces together. And he
Joseph went to
literally
build a
says,
bear.
I think you're a murderer too, essentially, too. That was what that was saying. It's like, I'm a murderer, by the way. I see that you potentially could be a murderer too, Aaron. And why
We
don't you
could do
let
this
that out of you?
together.
Yeah,
That's so
that is
interesting. I
literally
don't know
what
that
that's saying.
I don't think that I had that interpretation, but I love it. You think he
Oh
was
no,
courting him?
well, here, I mean, I don't know what his actual intentions were in the end, but like, here's the
But he was saying,
quote.
fucking stab the wolf, cut its guts out. Maybe there's something good inside. I thought it was gonna be money. I thought it was gonna be money from when he was like, "There's a check in your boot." And also, just for the record, I wrote in my notes, "There's a check in your boot." In Sheriff Woody voice, is this anything?
Yeah, I mean, the quote is this. It says, this is
Mm-hmm.
what the whole monologue is. It's like, I love wolves because they love deeply, but they don't know how to express it. And they're often very violent and, quite frankly, murder the things that they love. And inside of the wolf is this beautiful heart. And yeah, it's misguided. And yeah, occasionally it murders things. And this little wolf was so cute. It reminded me of you. Honestly, the moment I scared you in the woods, there was this look of murder in your eyes. It was baby murder, and you're not ready to accept that yet. And I want to encourage you to embrace your inner wolf, so your inner murderer.
Mm.
Sorry. So take
I
that
just
wolf and
was
enjoy it, and more importantly, take the knife and don't be afraid to murder it. Because when you stick a knife in something and you gut it, and you really dig inside, I don't know, man. There's all this beautiful stuff. And there's a surprise in there for you. See you soon, buddy. What a fucking monologue. It's so good.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I just got stuck on the "I'm the wolf and you're my little cub" part, especially after he said, "I had a dream that he was a wolf and I was his little cub." I was like, Aaron, you have what is there an Oedipus complex for boys? Like, is that only for no Electra complex for boys? Is it can it only there why isn't
It's
there a
here.
gay version of Oedipus Electra complex?
There is now. It's
I'm
Creep
sure there is
2014.
Yeah,
actually. I'm sure there fucking is.
of course there is.
Definitely. There's got to be. I want to read into that later. But yeah, I mean, like, the second half of the movie definitely gets into like the classic like spooky tropes with found footage where like the camera's left somewhere, and
Someone's
so
at the
you
door
see something that the
that they don't see.
the
Yeah.
the videographer never sees because they don't think to rewind. Like,
Mm-hmm.
super genius of Joseph to
Very Hill
knock over a
House
trash
LLC that part.
can. Yeah, so he would think that it was raccoons the whole time and all of that. Um, but it's just so interesting. I mean, Aaron is a fucking idiot, but he does have a big heart. He's like, this guy is the loneliest man in the world. But don't worry, I'm the second loneliest man in the world because why else would he fucking go there? Like, is he like as lonely as Mark Duplass? And he's like, this is actually my only friend. No one's really been checking on me while I've been stalked. So maybe I should go
Yeah.
hang out with this random guy. Like, what's his deal?
He's sad. I'm alone. He's alone. Maybe we are meant to be wolf and cub. Maybe
Maybe I should become a murderer with him.
Maybe I love
yeah.
you.
I
Yeah.
did for sure feel like it's very easy to read into a lack of close figures in Aaron's life. It's really easy to be like he would have been contacting other people at various points throughout this film if he had someone he was close to contact. Maybe he
Yeah.
just moved to LA and he's a new transplant.
Also,
Trying to
like,
break it into the Hollywood scene, taking any
is
videographic job he can get.
well, that's why it's such an interesting like exposition. Exposition is not the word. Whatever. Like look into like loneliness and strangeness of the
Mm-hmm.
human condition on both sides. You think it's just gonna be like where the camera's pointed, which is usually at Joseph, but then it does turn around and points at Aaron for like the whole second half of the movie. And there's definitely a lot of stuff going on with him that would make him make these terrible I don't it's kind of a stretch, but like suicidal almost decisions. Cause like going up
Reckless at the
there,
very least.
reckless. Yeah. Well, I mean, reckless for sure. And then at the very end, like it's baffling because
Just fucking stupid.
well, so he decides to meet up with Joseph. He goes to this public location or whatever. But like I know there's the chainsaw going and all of that, but how does Mark Mark? Who's Mark? I made up Mark. Mark's a new guy who just
Mark
entered the scene.
Duplass is
That's it. Okay, sorry. I was like, I just pulled a new name out of nowhere. But like, how does Aaron not feel his presence like 2 feet behind him? Whenever anyone's like that close to me, my body, I like can feel the stare. You can feel the wrestling, like the light
well
changing.
that you know of. There could have been 5 million times someone stood behind you without you noticing.
I'm incredibly aware and very observant.
I'm very perceptive
So
of my surroundings. So
yeah. But
no,
no,
I
I
hear
mean,
you. Yeah.
it feels like he like felt it coming and just accepted it almost in that moment. And that's kind of what Joseph gets at in his little post scene, but I don't know. It might not be that deep either.
I think he was definitely willing to risk something when he went out there. Maybe he didn't fully realize what he was risking because he thought he put his little safety factors in place. He's like, I'm filming it, so whatever happens is on camera, and I have 911 on speed dial, so I can contact them as soon as I see that someone is coming at me with a chainsaw, if that is my fear in this moment. But
Just
yeah, I
sit
mean,
and leave his back exposed to be
to leave his back
approach from the back at
exposed, yeah.
all.
And like,
So
I know
weird.
that Joseph was like, it's a public place, so what could happen? Come and meet me. But it's like, you let him set the meeting place ahead of time, and it's on his turf, and it's by his cabin, or it's not his cabin because it's a rental. But like, you're not sussing out this location before you're
No,
arriving. You don't know what the deal is. You're
no,
extending a lot of faith, regardless of everything else.
no, totally. And so I mean, I remember the first time I saw this this part of the movie, and I was like, "What?" Because like you think a lot of things, but like to think that he's just gonna fucking whack him with the axe in the top of his head, like in broad daylight. Like I really didn't like see it coming. I saw him doing something scary, but it's like up until like the axe is in frame the whole time. It just looks like it's his shoe. And then like the fact like you realize that he has it, and even when he has it up,
And then
I
he
still
kind of
didn't
like
think he was gonna
winds up
kill him.
again. Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought
You think
like
he's gonna
he
like
was gonna
shout or
scare
something?
him
Yeah, he loves to pop out
again.
and do a little scare.
But no, I thought that, I mean, and then it's just over. Like there's no fight. He's just dead. Like I don't know. It's just like it's such a like gut punch. It's a sucker punch.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because he is like explaining himself in the additional tape that he films after everything with
I
Aaron is
love that.
over. And I did make note that he was like, I could only get off on it if it was real. And I was like, okay, so you are getting off to this, you little freak ass little
Yeah.
bitch.
Mhm.
Um,
Why else would he do
but
it 57
yeah,
times?
it's so homoerotic, their whole interaction. It's gay. Anyway. But yeah, I
57
mean,
times also.
he says
That's how many
he's
times he's
really
killed
like,
people.
he's feeding off the fear and like, he's feeding off not knowing how people are going to respond and seeing how far he can push it. And that's why he stands there for so long, I think, is he wants Aaron to turn around. He wants the reaction. He wants to maybe chase him even. Um, and Aaron is, I don't know, maybe Aaron is defiantly not giving that to him and just accept, I don't know. Maybe that is like
Yeah.
Aaron's rebellion in the end. But it's interesting to see the way it happens so quickly. And the way that Joseph comes to that conclusion in his brain at the end, where he's like, actually, you're just the best person in the world, and you're my favorite, and you're so special to me because you had such a good, pure heart that
Mhm.
you could dip your toes in the heart pool waters, and you just had such a good inner light and spirit that you saw that in me, even though I'm literally a serial killer. Even though I'm literally a serial killer, you saw the best in
Here
me.
is my closet of all 57 people that I killed. So I loved that reveal. And it's so great too because it recontextualized the whole rest of the movie where he's just been playing games that whole time. Obviously he's full freaky weirdo completely, but he made everything up. It's all part of his sick game and he's really fucking good at playing this game. Like that's terrifying to get away with it 57 fucking times. Like that's insane. Ugh. And he's, we can't knock a man for being great at his craft. Sorry, Sid.
He's
What were you
just
gonna say?
so smart.
He's the smart bitch.
He's the
But yeah,
smart
I mean,
bitch.
his strategy is good because, I mean, not that he can necessarily totally suss out everyone in advance to see who does not have people in their lives who are like checking on them. But if you find people who are not going to be reported missing promptly, at least, I guess, then to be like, sure, I was a freak weirdo to them. But then they there's nothing they could go to the police with because they don't know my real name and there's no tie to this rental even if somebody were to look into it, and like he
Mhm.
doesn't even have a last name even if he wanted to report me, and like technically I haven't really done anything yet. And then he's coming to me, meeting me on my turf on my own terms, and so I know how to navigate that situation. Like he's got good gameplay. He's got good gameplay.
Yeah, he's really good at this. I love him. Well, that brings us to the end of the movie, but it brings us to the age-old question that we've already talked about. So we're kind of done. How could this movie be gayer? They could have kissed in the hot tub of Aaron's mind. You know what I mean? At least
Yeah,
in the dream sequence.
I think for sure. Yeah. I think they did, but I don't think he was ready to say that out loud.
Even to his own personal video diary, he couldn't say it.
I would have liked him when he breaks into Aaron's house and he's like videotaping Aaron. He should have kissed him on the forehead.
I think he could have at
My
least had a
son.
video of himself like kissing the heart locket before he puts it in the wolf and ships it off to Aaron. You know what I mean? Like he
Mhm.
did J+A heart at the heart watering hole, and he had J+A on the heart locket. I think they could have really leaned into that a little bit more with some little kissies.
Just a
But
little more kissing. That's all I
yeah, I
want.
mean,
Or he could
it
have
was gay.
Sydney, were you saying when he broke into his house, he should kiss him on the forehead?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, similar but different. At the very end, he puts on the peach fuzz mask. He gets his axe, but right before he whacks it down on him, he goes on the top of his head and then he whacks him.
And then he hits him.
Little kiss, and then he ends it all.
If he needs to
No.
be a little sneakier, like if he doesn't think he has the reaction time, he could kiss the axe, and then the axe could kiss Aaron. A little
Wow.
transference of kiss.
Amazing. Any more gay thoughts?
So many gay thoughts.
Next is where would Matthew Lillard fit into this movie? And he has to be Mark Duplass. Like he has to be.
No, I think he
has
could be
to
Aaron.
Yeah,
be.
I think he'd be fun as Aaron.
Okay, fine.
I think he would give good reaction. Aaron is not giving good reaction in this movie. And so like, I
Yeah.
don't know, a Maddie Lily Aaron would be a much bigger portrayal, a much louder portrayal. So like I wonder if
That's
you could kind
true.
of get away with it in the sense that like Aaron's quiet reactions are what allowed the movie to go on for so long, because if Aaron was reacting really big, you would imagine that he'd be bailing sooner. But I don't know, you could get the big reaction as long as you like bring it back down, I think. So I would love to see Maddie Lily give it a try as Aaron. I would love to see
Yeah.
him in that role just to see how he does it.
Yeah, totally. And I also want Mark Duplass to stay in this always because he's so good in this. I love him. Okay, that brings us to our dumb bitch, and it's Aaron. That's
It's
it.
Aaron.
We can
It's
move
Aaron.
on. We've already
Yeah.
gone through it. It's Aaron. Now that brings us to our knives out of 5. So, what is the reception to this film?
This film is so critically acclaimed in the sense that critics love it. It has 91% fresh from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. It is more moderately received by audiences. From audiences on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 66% fresh. And then on IMDb, it has 6.3 out of 10. So like grand scheme, it's not as universally beloved as I initially thought, maybe.
Yeah.
But critics fucking loved it. Critics loved it, and like critics are often harder on found footage movies. So I think that they were very impressed with what this movie did with its $500, I guess.
Yeah.
As they should be.
Those
Oh,
$500
totally.
were for bribing the critics.
I mean, I'll go first on this one. Usually I temper myself, but I'm not going to. I think that this movie is a 5 out of 5 for me because like it's so fucking simple and they went in with nothing. The fact that this is 99% ad-libbed, like improv, all of that is even all the more impressive to me and what makes it so realistic and so believable. Like I've watched this like 4 or 5 times now and I have like a great time every fucking time. Like I just think that they nailed this and I think it's really fun. And I don't know. I just think it's great. And I can understand why some people really wouldn't like it because like another thing I saw was like a lot of people on Reddit being like, why do people like this so much? But it's exactly the things that I like, which is like a slow fucking burn, weird shit. And there's a spooky mask. So there's there's FX makeup because we've got peach fuzz. So it's giving me everything. So it's perfect. My cat's freaking out. Sorry.
Yeah, Monica has a cat now, you guys.
I have a cat now and she found a silverfish and she's trying to kill it and she's going under the door. You guys go now. I will deal with this.
Good for her. I like this movie. Sometimes found footage for me can be a hit or a miss.
Mhm.
And I like the jump scares. Like, and this movie had really great tension in
Yes.
when he gets off the phone and Joseph is missing and you're like walking around and you're like, he's gonna be there somewhere, but you like don't know when. And also like the very end, you're like screaming at the TV, like it's so good. So I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5.
Yay, nice. I really wasn't sure what y'all would think.
I liked it. I will say I think there is probably another universe where I had a more immersive viewing experience and liked it better because I'm not usually scared. Like when I feel fear, it is not usually because of like a jump scare type of thing. I won't say I'm never startled. Sometimes I do get startled, especially if I'm like Monica and I are watching a movie together because Monica has such big reactions sometimes that it's like a little infectious.
It's because I
But
grab you, and that's another
yeah,
jump scare
now it's a
in and of
4D
itself.
film experience. Yeah. But I will say I laughed a lot watching this movie and wrote LOL in my notes a lot for a lot of the like scary moments. So in that sense, while it is a horror movie, I wasn't really able to like tap into that element of the tension where I felt
Mhm.
tense or like where I felt it in my body. I think it would have been fun to have that experience, but it just didn't hit that way for me. So I'm gonna like knock off a little bit of that. And also like now I'm really thinking about the phone call and how she called him Joseph, the way you pointed that out. I mean, I think it is what it is. I didn't question it at all when I was watching it, or after I watched the movie and figured out like what was going on. Um, and I like that it was so improvisational, and I like that they were able to really like roll with where they felt the story was going, the mood that they had set intentionally or otherwise. So I like that they were so nimble on their feet and like flexible with the final product. Um if that was like a relic of an earlier version of the film, I think that well, I don't know. I don't know that it would be easy to redo that because I think that one is like kind of a long scene without cuts where he like hangs up the phone and goes out of the bathroom potentially. So I'm not sure. But I don't know. I would have loved a little more consistency if that is in fact a plot hole. But overall, I would still
Damn,
say
I
like
shouldn't have said
four.
anything.
I would still say 4 knives out of 5s. I feel like that's pretty good. I thought it was fun. I love Mark Duplass. I always think he's like fascinating. He has a lot of fun. He always brings something really interesting to his roles, and I so like him and therefore kind of like want to trust his weird characters, but also am like hesitant to trust his weird. He plays it
Mhm.
so well. I think he does such a great job with it for sure, and I like the way that they made this film. I watched it and I was entertained, but I didn't like super have fun and I wasn't like super scared. So it doesn't quite rise to the level of a 5 for me.
That's totally fine. That's totally
But I
fine.
loved how gay it was.
I'm glad you
So
liked it at all.
I was so glad to see how many gay elements were in play.
We love to see it. Well, that brings us to the end of Creep, but next week we're doing a movie again. Whoa, crazy shock, Sydney.
Oh my god,
The second
another
movie in a
movie?
row.
I
That's
know
wild.
this is groundbreaking. We
Wow.
never do this.
We've never
We've
done
never
this
done
before.
this before. Oh my god, this is new for us. Second movie. Okay, go ahead, Sydney.
Okay. This movie is actually fun because it was
Unlike
made
this one. I'm kidding.
no, it was released the year that I graduated, and it's set in my favorite time for horror, which is the 80s, and that is what's it called again?
The House of the Devil.
Yes, The House of the Devil. I was like, why am I blanking out of it? And it's like on my screen. I'm literally looking at the IMDb and I'm
It's
like,
okay.
what's the name?
It's my job this episode to say things that are potentially wrong when the other people don't want to say it. Videographer.
We need her to take the hit for us. Yeah.
But this is a Ty West movie, and it's interesting. Like, I've seen
Remember
this
how much
before.
you loved Pearl last month?
Well, we like. I feel like we can get a little like divisive on Mr. Ty West. Sometimes we're like, yes. Sometimes we're like, I don't know. And this is one of his earlier ones.
Yeah, I think this is maybe his debut. Is it? Fuck, I did a whole bunch of
We'll tell you
research
for
on him
sure
last
next
year.
episode.
Yeah. But
We don't
I'm
need
really
to.
excited.
It's not what we're doing right now, so we don't need to know for sure just yet. You'll find out later.
Well, I just like that he is keeping with the fucking theme and doing another like fully immersive period piece. I love that he does that. So I'm super excited to see if he nailed the 80s, especially leading up to Maxine, which will also be set in the 80s. So we shall see. It's time for our poll question for Creep. What do you want it to be? Is
Did they kiss
Angela's
in
phone
Aaron's dream?
call? Oh yeah, did they kiss in Aaron's dream? That's better. Or is the
Uh,
Angela phone call a plot hole or an accomplice? I feel like
That
that's
could
good.
be the open question, maybe.
I don't
What do you
know.
think
What
of the
about
Angela phone call?
would you rather do porn or be murdered?
That's a question everybody has to ask themselves.
I feel like
But it's
potentially
shoot porn. You don't have to star in the porn. You just have to shoot it. You just have to be the
shoot porn.
videographer.
Would you rather shoot porn or be murdered? Okay, sure. That could be it. I'll
To me,
save
that's
my
a
other
gimme,
one
but
for
I
the
don't know.
writing.
Maybe some people have divisive answers. People can
We'll see.
surprise you.
People can surprise you.
Aaron, I guess he
Um,
would rather be murdered. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to surprise us in your 5-star review. You can say something unsurprising like, "You're incredible and I love you." We wouldn't be surprised by that, but we do love to hear it.
we
And
do love
we
to hear it
haven't
each and every
gotten
time.
we haven't gotten a written review in a while. So
Haiku
why not
review.
make our day? Think about it. And why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday. As a reminder, we're doing YouTube episodes now and they slay. And they're beautiful. And I added little blood that is in the video the whole time now. It's very atmospheric, makes you feel our branding the whole time. It's amazing. You should watch it and you should subscribe. And also, we're on Facebook and Tumblr at Spooky Tuesday Pod. And thank you for listening. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, spookies.
Why didn't you at least look behind you? I mean, it just seemed dumb that you would just sit there. And then I realized why you didn't turn around. It's because you're the greatest person that's ever lived, Aaron. No matter what I did to you, you believed I was good and I would do you no harm. And that is why I will always love you. And why you'll always be my favorite of them all.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.